welcome to this week's episode of Livewire TV. I am so excited that you are here. Livewire TV is the place where we like to talk all about business strategies, marketing, and mindset as well. We are a part of Livewire Media, who creates corporate videography and video marketing. If you're watching across Facebook, please do give us a like and a follow. That way you'll get notifications of when we next go live. And I would love to know, because we're broadcasting across Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube to a global network, I would love to know, where in the world are you watching from? Comment below. So I'm Rohini, I am your host today. With me is the incredible Tom. Tom has got such an incredible backstory. So to give you guys a bit of an idea, he was a cardiovascular surgeon, which means that he did heart surgery, which is pretty incredible. And then after he retired, he decided, okay, I still want to help people. How can I help people? So he started learning about coaching and this concept. Well, I think of it like a concept called the 3 principles, which is what this show is all about. Tom is all about helping other people to develop their mindset, their well-being, and ultimately stepping up their game and really understanding who they are as a person as well. So Tom, welcome to Livewire TV.
Welcome, Rohini. I think I would start explaining a little bit what is coaching. Yeah. And transformational coaching is a different way of approaching transformation. When a client comes to me seeking help, change of a particular thought process where he or she might be stuck or complain of feeling extremely limited in their life, I have 2 choices. Yeah. I can help them to change that specific thing and work towards a series of actionable steps. In achievable time frame, I can make these actions specific, measurable, and therefore making these actions attainable and realistic. When it comes to those who like working in a left-brained kind of way, this is very helpful. The problem is that we are humans, and so we don't work in the left-brain procedural kind of way. We might like to think. We have emotions, dreams, fears. We have opportunities, and we get stuck. So the second option I've got is to help them direct.
Yeah.
Not to help them to exhibit or perform differently, not to move from forward in linear progression, not to take incremental steps on the journey, but solely to help them, which is in contrast with performance coaching. Because in performance coaching, I help individuals to get better in something. Until relatively recently, the most useful tool in coaching was neuro-linguistic programming. But that's traditional coaching. In order to comprehend it fully, we need to understand how we construct our own subjective experience. And it is best explained of what is known as the 3 principles.
So before we get into the 3 principles and what they are and stuff, let's go to your background, because the fact that you were essentially a heart surgeon, that is pretty incredible. I mean, is that something that you always wanted to do?
I would say that cardiac surgery is nothing special. It's a job. What it made special.
Always wanted to do? Yeah.
I wanted to say that cardiac surgery is nothing.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a doctor from the age of about 11. It just happened that my grandfather was a GP in the outskirts of Warsaw. And I suspect what impressed me the most was sitting in a corner of his surgery while he was seeing patients and listening to their stories a little bit. And also, strangely enough, the smell of disinfectants used to clean the surgery made lasting impression.
I can
Anyway,
imagine.
from this point onwards, I wanted to be a doctor, and there was nothing stopping me to do that.
Yeah.
Quite often in medicine, one may have dreams, but opportunities open up. And
Mhm.
one of the opportunities was to walk into training in cardiac surgery. And that's the rest is just a history.
The rest is history, as they say. So you were a heart surgeon for several years, and I imagine that was pretty exciting. But then after you retired, what made you then want to go back into essentially the workforce and continue to help people? Because most surgeons, after they've lived their life, they've helped other people essentially live a bit longer, they retire. What made you want to come out of retirement and continue to help other people?
I found myself completely lost as soon as I got retired.
Mm,
From busy work to absolutely nothing. There was really nothing to get up for, nothing to
mm,
look forward to. So I felt sorry for myself for about a year. And then, with some knowledge of NLP, started to get back to normality. Continue my studies in NLP, learned how to become a life coach, and then at some point came across the three principles, and that changed my life. And that's changes life of many people. For some reason, it is not widely known.
mm. So, what when you discovered these three principles, what was going through your mind, and how did it feel?
Um, it was a revelation.
Mm,
I was following retirement.
yeah.
Uh, I tended to live in the past, and living in the past, in my thoughts, was certainly creating a very negative feelings of being sad and
Mm,
actually depressed. With the three principles, I managed to come to terms with the past, and I learned how not to engage with negative thoughts because there is no feeling without a thought first.
yeah, absolutely. The feeling comes, and then the thought kind of happens after that, really, doesn't it? Or in some cases, it's vice versa. And it kind of reminds me of a bit of the law of attraction. So let's talk about the first principle. So, what exactly is the first principle, and how did it change your life?
Well, the three principles have got to be treated together
Okay.
in many ways. I'll tell you a little bit about the story, as it's everybody likes stories. Um,
Yeah.
how it all started. Well, the three principles are the extension of original work created by a Scotsman, Sydney Banks.
Okay.
He was uneducated welder in the Glaswegian shipyard.
Yeah.
At some point, when work had dried up in Glasgow, he emigrated to Canada in search for work, and he started to work in a pulp mill. One day, Sid was in conversation with a psychologist whom he met at a social event. Sid was one of those guys who you could just speak to and feel
Yeah.
very comfortable talking for any period of time. When the psychologist, a very learned man, was telling Sid about his woes and problems, when he paused, Sid looked at him and said, "You know, it strikes me there is nothing wrong here. You
Mm,
just think there is." The psychologist pressed and said, "I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean." And Sid said, "Well, it strikes me that the only thing I hear here is that the only thing that you think there was something wrong with you." Psychologist went very quiet and said, Sid, are you saying I'm reacting to my thoughts, not reality? And that's what it is. The mind creates images which we can only see on the screen of our awareness, of our consciousness. And when we see the picture on the screen, it creates a thought. And the thoughts evoke emotions.
Yeah, I've heard of this sort of principle before, where there is reality, as in like what actually happens, and then there is your mind of how you perceive what actually happens. And when I learned that, like the game massively changed. It was really, really, really interesting concept. So when you learned about that, how did you use that to start changing your negative thoughts?
Well, the good metaphor is most of us, when driving cars, we tend to listen to the music.
Yeah.
And some songs are nice, and some songs we don't like. And so what we do? We change the station or we turn the volume down.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we do with the thoughts we don't like. We have got no control over thoughts, what is going to come to our mind next. But we have a choice not to engage with them. And that removes the whole process of dealing with unwanted emotions. While in NLP and many traditional interventions, um, therapists concentrate on feelings. Well, this is a bit like in medicine. That appeals to me because it's a bit like in medicine, treating symptoms. If there is a pain, yes, of course, the doctors must prescribe painkillers, but they also have got to deal with the cause of the pain.
Yeah,
And
100%.
dealing with the thought is just dealing with the cause of the problem of negative emotions.
Yeah. So what happened next? So you'd learnt that principle. What else did you learn?
Well, that we create our own reality.
Yeah.
What we think is our world is an illusion. And again, example of it, if two people look through the window, whether it's a window of the house or the car, we see different things.
Yeah.
And that's how we create our reality. My reality is not the fact.
Yeah.
So with understanding, the whole, this is very simple. It's not a concept, it's not a belief. It's a fact, fundamental truth about how the life is.
Mm.
And the understanding of it only enables a lot of people to move forward. It applies to past trauma, whatever it was, unpleasant event or even abuse or frank case of PTSD. It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter that much, but one can uh, control the thought. Again, the same applies to thoughts.
So just on that note then, how do you control the thought? Because a lot of people who are watching this, they may be thinking, well, that all sounds really great, but I can't shut off what's going on here. I can't control that. How do you manage that? What would be your advice to them?
It takes a little bit of effort,
Yeah.
and as I said, it is exactly the same as while listening to the radio station. If there is a thought, and that sort of thoughts come to my mind all the time, thoughts of trauma from the past, thoughts of sad events, and I've got to make an effort and just reach to the knob which controls the volume and turn the volume down, Or basically, change the station and don't and ignore the thought. And that's
Yeah.
the way to deal with it.
I
It's
think the first step is first of all becoming aware of the negative thought and then choosing to change it, isn't it?
that's the essence. That's the
Yeah.
essence. The essence to understand how the thoughts are created, and then to understand how powerful the thoughts are.
Yeah.
And that comes to anything, whatever we do in our life, whatever it is, like even getting up in the morning. I'm in a bad mood today. Hmm, that must have been a thought
Mm.
just before your bad mood. And what does one do? Nothing, because the bad moods pass. One doesn't have to do anything. It's the
Yeah.
same again, metaphorically speaking. It's like disturb the surface of a lake by the wind. But the wind comes down, the surface of the lake uh, settles, and we don't have to do anything. But the same applies to our mind. We just
Mm.
don't have to do anything. It will settle on its own. The only thing we need to know that that's how we function.
Yeah. So part of that is learning to let go. And this is something that a lot of people tend to struggle with. So how do you learn to let go and just kind of trust the process?
Well, I suspect to start it was I had to be controlling it consciously,
Yeah.
um, and then and now I don't. I don't have to. I know that the thoughts are just thoughts, and there's going to be somewhere around 10,000 during the day.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have any control what thought is going to come next, and any attempt to say, "Oh, I'm just going to have a good thoughts today," it's
Mm.
possible because we are not. Thoughts are generally neutral.
Yeah.
They only become emotions if we engage with them.
Ah,
So
that's really, really interesting, like choosing to actively engage in your thoughts. And part of that is about becoming self-aware, I imagine, as well.
yes, but it will come. It doesn't have to be taught.
Yeah.
Nobody amongst the audience need to uh, pay particular attention because this message can be absorbed without any effort.
Mm.
It's not about learning or studying anything. It's just to accept that that's the way how we create our world, our life, our experience.
Mm. Guys, if you have any questions for Tom, do drop them in the comments section below and we'll be sure to answer them for you. We're broadcasting globally across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So I would love to know, where in the world are you watching from? I am very intrigued. So, Tom, so when you started to discover these principles that would massively transform your life, like what I'm trying to understand really is why this is not taught in sort of modern psychology, why this is not taught in schools even as well.
Um, it should have been. And
Yeah.
that's one outstanding book, which was probably one of the very first books on the subject I read. It was written by a well-known psychologist, American psychologist called Jack Bransky. And the title you are not going to forget. The
Yeah.
title is Somebody Should Have Told Us.
Mm.
You're right.
Interesting title.
We should have been told by parents, school, or attending religious education, any of this situation. But all I can say, it is possible to teach um, importance of thoughts to small people.
Mm.
I recently um, bought my grandsons, they're only 6 and 8, a book written by the same author, A Thought About the Thoughts. And they read it, and they quite like it. They keep on going back. And in the morning of the day when I had to leave to Leicester early, I asked them, uh, boys, what are you going to do if you are in a bad mood? And
Mm.
these little people separately said to me, nothing, the mood will pass.
Wow.
And that just shows how early it is possible to teach this essential knowledge, something which will help all of you to
Mm.
live a really happy life, contented and happy life.
So if you are in a bad mood and you're kind of in this loop of thinking these negative thoughts, what would you recommend to kind of snap out of it? Because for some people, letting it go isn't as easy as it sounds. So have you got any practical tips to help them to do that?
Uh, the practical tip is not to engage with the thought.
Mm.
It's
So
uh,
maybe like distract
it's
yourself and do
it's,
something else.
it's another EU broadcast from Birmingham, and there is this very busy railway station, New Street,
Mm.
and the trains come and go, and you stand on the platform, and if the train stops at your platform, it doesn't mean that you got to board the train, does it? You just
Mm.
let it pass, and you just do exactly the same with thoughts, and they are not going to. The process is getting easier. And the same applies to memories of being embarrassed, memories of have, having done something wrong, then feeling bad about it. Well, no, we don't have to
Mm.
think about it. First of all, because it's the past, so it doesn't exist any longer.
That is really, really interesting. So it's about controlling it and choosing not to negatively engage in it as well. So
It's not a hard work. It's
yeah,
just it's a choice.
it's
It's
creating
choosing.
a new habit essentially, isn't it? It's
Yes,
creating a new habit and a new thought process too.
but it's worth it because it will allow you not only to have a happy life but also happy relationships, and you are going to discover that suddenly people like being in your company
Yeah, because
because
you're
of
raising your vibe.
your mindset.
Yeah. So that's a really good point actually. So when we start to change our mindset, sometimes the people around us, they like to keep us how we are. They don't like to see us to grow or to change. And in some cases, in extreme cases, they actually hold us back. So when people start applying these principles about managing your thought process, and they start to see other people in their lives sort of either distance themselves or try and keep them as they were, what would you recommend to those people? Because when you're trying to change and you're trying to grow, it's really important, I feel, to have a supportive network around you who actually support you in doing so. But not everybody has that luxury, do they?
No, a lot of people, first of all, in Britain, a lot of people are lonely. The
Yeah.
family structure is such that a lot of people end up living on their own. But then again, living alone doesn't mean the one should feel lonely. It's
Mm.
again all about thoughts. Um, so when it comes to the people trying to impose their views on anyone, it's again that depends on our response. The response is, "Oh, he's telling me what to do," and there's a thought, "But I don't want to do it," and that's the feeling.
Yeah.
So the thought, well, yes, okay, somebody's got a different opinion. It
Mm.
doesn't affect me. It changed me to this extent. I really opinions of other people don't affect me at the slightest. It's not possible to make me anxious or to be afraid of anything um, or to be offended because the process is through this thought. If I allow the thought, oh, he's offensive, yes, then I'm going to turn angry. But if I don't allow this thought to cross my mind, yes, suddenly it becomes irrelevant. It's not important any longer.
Yeah. So was it easy for you to start applying these principles to your life?
It was easy. And the reason why is because there's a plenty of written work on the subject. And one of the things which I enjoy very much going for a walk is to listen to audiobooks. And it suddenly makes even long walks very interesting and actually quite short. And then listening to books, one of them I mentioned by Jack Bransky, and then his relative uh, produced a absolutely beautiful book about relationships based on three principles. Um, that any problem starts with a feeling again of insecurity, and there is absolutely no relationship which cannot be helped and sorted out. And because in these books, these authors produce so many different examples,
Mm.
they are real stories, and we do like stories, and
Yeah.
in particular the individual stories, and they are so positive. There's no single story which did not have a good end.
Yeah, it's like with pretty much all of the movies, like as human beings, we like a happy ending for everything. We like sort of rags to riches kind of stories, don't we? And it's one of the key ways that we actually learn as well.
Yes, it is, and that's quite one of the nicest memories we practically all of us have when we were little and somebody was reading stories for us, because these stories we were read, they always had a meaning. There's something special in it. We
Yeah,
do remember to this day.
fantastic. So, in what ways, Tom, has the three principles massively changed your life? Because I know you mentioned that when you went into out when you came out of retirement, you felt lost, like you wanted to continue to do something to kind of to give back to other people. So
Well,
how has it affected your life?
once I retired, I did not have a choice. I could not continue as a heart surgeon. It's just not possible. There are some other specialties where, like general practice, when doctors quite rightly are allowed to work a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But it was not possible in my specialties. So um, once I recovered what we call identity, in the past I was a surgeon and then I was nobody. But then I started to regain my identity. Who am I? And what is the purpose of my existence? Which is a level above my physical existence.
Yeah.
And then the purpose for me was the vocation of helping people, as it is for a lot of us. I think
Mm.
most of us are like you, for instance, engaging in activities in work which is really designated to help others.
Yeah. Amazing. So Tom, I know that you teach these three principles to your clients. So where can people get in touch with you to find out more about your services?
It's quite easy to get in touch with me, either through direct email, tom.spyt@gmail.com, or through the website, which is Coaching and Hypnosis Sanctuary.
Fantastic. Make sure that you drop the links to those in the comment section below. But guys, we are going to wrap it up here. Really, really appreciate you all liking and sharing the post. It's really awesome of you. Do join us next week. We're going to have a really awesome conversation all about the property industries as well. So, whether or not now is a good time to get involved in property and what to do and what not to do as well. So, I cannot wait to see you there right here, Livewire TV, next Thursday at 12 p.m. Have an amazing week, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.